So you might want to look at that law to tighten it up, because we've tried it twice and it has not worked. I did not know till I came to the hearing today, but I am very supportive of this concept about the preemption to give local governments the ability to raise the minimum wage. Many of us have spent a lot of meetings in the last year or so in New York City about trying to establish a higher living wage in New York City. And frankly, a lot of the community groups are very discouraged that it appears that the end product of the process will be a law that may impact upon 500 workers. That's really not what we thought we were spending all those meetings to do, is to impact 500 workers. And I think it would be a more valuable use of the city council's time and the mayor's time to actually pass a law to impact all the workers in New York City, not 500 workers. And then just one final point. You know, one of the arguments, for instance, I was attacked personally, which I don't usually get, but I was attacked personally in an editorial yesterday, Monday, by the Plattsburgh Press and Republican on the minimum wage issue. Said, normally we agree with Mr. Dunley on issues, but not on the minimum wage. Times are too tough. We cannot afford right now to be increasing the minimum wage. And one thing we point out is that the minimum wage was established during the height of the Great Depression. And in fact, at the point where the minimum wage was established, unemployment was 19%. A little bit higher than it is, presently. And one of the reasons that President Roosevelt, of course, used to be Governor Roosevelt when we started the minimum wage here in New York State, wanted to raise the minimum wage during the Great Depression was he understood, as many of the speakers have articulated, that the minimum wage is an economic driver. It helps put money into the economy. And one of the problems we're facing right now, of course, is that we have the greatest income disparity since 1927. 1% making 35%. Now, 1927 was right before the Great Depression, and when all the money was going to the wealthy and so little going to the rest of us, the economy collapsed. And it's one of the reasons very important right now is to put more money into the hands of the average consumer by raising the minimum wage. President Roosevelt understood that. I still believe President Roosevelt's about the most popular president we've had to date. And I just hope that Governor Cuomo might listen to President Roosevelt and agree with the Senate Democrats and raise the minimum wage. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Pete?
Yeah.
Yes.
My name is Pete Myers. I'm the Executive Director of the Tompkins County Workers Center in upstate New York, in Ithaca specifically. We actually started out 10 years ago as the Tompkins County Living Wage Coalition, and have broadened our work, including to do workers' rights, immigrant rights, and other issues, so we changed our name to the Worker Center about 5 years ago. But the living wage has been very central to our work, and there's two things that I really want to focus on right now. The first one was when Walmart opened up several years ago in Ithaca. It was somewhat controversial, but then it opened up, and we were basically petitioning Walmart to pay a living wage to its employees, to its workers. But of course, the multinational is located elsewhere than Ithaca. It's located in Arkansas. So how do you petition a general manager who doesn't have any control? But we would do organizing tables all over the community. And I remember this one young African American woman coming up to the table and saying, we were basically saying Walmart pay more. $5.15 is not enough. Or maybe $7.25 is not enough. And she said, that's all I deserve. I don't deserve any more than this. I'm working as a cashier, and I don't really have any, there's nothing in what I do that makes me deserve more. So we argued about this for 45 minutes. And I told her that, like 70 years ago, auto workers were basically being paid this pathetic minimum wage, and they decided as a group of people that they were worth more money. And I'm very happy to say that she called back a month later and said she had quit the job to find a job that would pay just $1 an hour more. I mean, so it's like, and it kind of taught me this lesson. And I think what our Worker Center does, we really try to energize service and retail workers into believing that they're worth more. And I think that the really horrible thing about the minimum wage, the way it stands both in New York and in the country, frankly, is that it's basically telling workers that that's all you're worth. Now, our worth isn't based only on money. It's based on a lot of other things, but it sends a message to people. And if we don't, I think we have to figure out as a community, how are we going to wake workers up to who they are, who we are, that we're all in this together. And I constantly think of Martin Luther King's beloved community, that we are all in this together, that we are interconnected with each other. And until we kind of see that, I'm just afraid of where we're going as a society. The other thing I want to mention is something that we were, I believe, the first in the country to start this, and it's been very exciting. 6 years ago, we started something called the Living Wage Employer Certification Program, where we certify employers as being living wage employers. We now have 79 employers that have 1,700 workers in Tompkins County. And it's just, other communities around the country interested in learning about this. Because, on a certain level, we can't wait for the government to make these changes. We got to bring the pressure to bear upon in any way we can. And it's not lost on me, politically speaking, about how my best guess is that most people who are sitting in this panel are from downstate. We have some serious problems. Like my county, which is actually very progressive, relatively speaking, is so gerrymandered that we have 3 Republican senators in that county to kind of, dilute kind of the power of people there. But so this, I do want to really emphasize this living wage employer program and how important it is. Last year we got Sodexo, the multinational corporation, to pay a living wage through Ithaca College. I am also, I would say our campaign right now, we're putting a lot of energy into the minimum wage campaign, is actually focusing on it being a living wage. And we're saying in Tompkins County, a living wage, we have a local credit union that says the living wage is $12.78. So that's an out there figure. We're gonna be doing yard signs and everything saying it should be a living wage, and obviously a living wage is different in New York City than it is in Tompkins, than it is in Cortland County. But we need to get people starting to think about this, pushing the envelope. And I will say, in that sense, Senator Espaillat's bill, I think the exciting part to me personally is the idea that Tompkins County, it would be a battle. It would be a tremendous battle to see Tompkins County, like we're going to say it should be $13 an hour, and it would be on. And I like that part of the bill. So thank you.
Thank you, Pete. Adam?
Hi, how's it going? I want to thank you all for having this hearing. My name's Adam Obernauer. I'm the political and legislative organizer for United Food and Commercial Workers Local 1500. I'm testifying in place of Patrick Purcell, who's the assistant to the president of our local, and he was called away unexpectedly, so I'm here. United Food and Commercial Workers Local 1500 is New York State's largest grocery workers union, representing over 23,000 workers throughout New York State, including Long Island, the 5 boroughs, Westchester, Putnam, and Dutchess counties. As you know, probably going to reiterate some things all folks have said, but they're all valid points. New York currently matches the federal minimum wage at $7.25. It's an annual salary of $15,000 about for a full-time worker. New York's minimum wage had kept up with inflation since the 60s, as folks have said earlier. It would be more than $10.80 today, $10.80. In addition, the minimum wage has only increased 10 cents since 2006, which shows the importance of indexing in this bill, this legislation. 18 states plus Washington, D.C. have higher minimum wages than New York, including many states with a much lower cost of living than here. And New York City is especially one of the most expensive cities to live in, yet we still have a minimum wage that matches the federal minimum. That's not allowing anyone that's making the minimum wage to have enough money to, let alone pay their rent, feed their families, et cetera. More workers nationally and in New York are spending their careers in retail jobs. That fact makes increasing minimum wage all that more important. We got big box stores like Walmart and Target continually expanding, Target expanding at extreme rates and taking advantage of the current low wage, minimum wage system. With the minimum wage so low being exploited by irresponsible employers, it's hard for good employers to compete with large corporations that are driving down costs by paying their workers as little as they can. Increasing the minimum wage will help raise the level of wages at companies like Walmart, like Target. It'll help raise it closer to what good employers are currently paying and provide a much more level playing field for the good employers. Leaving the minimum wage as it currently stands allows for large corporations to drag down the standards of responsible employers rather than the companies like Walmart being raised out of the economic gutter they currently do business in. A common misconception is that increasing the minimum wage will bankrupt small businesses.